Hello Year 8 and welcome to your next unit of work for the spring term, which is based on a comedy of errors. Now before you start this lesson, please make sure that you have access to the workbook that has been uploaded to Show My Homework. If you haven't got that open yet, please pause the video here and try and get that up on a different tab and then come back to me when you're ready. Here we have the overview of the unit. I would like you just to pause the video here and just have a quick read of the slide. So the important thing to think about at this point is that you may not be very familiar with Shakespearean language at all at this point, and that is absolutely fine. I'm not expecting you to know Shakespeare off by heart, recite it every day. What I'd like you to do is just embrace the Shakespearean language with some positivity and enthusiasm, even if you aren't sure of what it is at the beginning. Okay, it will be a process that you will go through and you will learn as we go through. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Okay, then what I'd like you to do now is this. Because you've been given your new workbook, the one that we are working from here on out for this half term, I would like you to turn to page 8, where you will see a blank box for the do now. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to answer the following questions in that box. If you haven't got your workbook yet, don't worry, it's on its way. You will just need to do it on a piece of paper for today. Okay, so you're going to pause the video here and answer the 5 questions. Now they are based on A Midsummer Night's Dream, which we looked at in year 7, and there's also some questions at the end about what you know about Shakespeare. I'd like you to answer them as best as you can. Pause the video here and give it a go. All right then, so these are our lesson objectives and you'll need to write these in your booklet as well. So we've got 2 for today. You've got to be introduced to the plot of A Comedy of Errors. So you're going to learn a little bit about the play today. And then we're going to look at understanding the text and how emphasis can be used for effect in performance. So we're going to be looking at applying vocal skills to performance work over the course of this half term. So we're going to start with emphasis. If you'd like to pause the video now, you can write down what your lesson objectives are either in your workbook or on your piece of paper. Come back to me when you're done. Right, so before we start looking at the extract, we need to understand the context of the whole play. So the extract is only a part of it, so you need to know the whole play in its entirety before you start looking at the smaller bits. So I'm going to tell you a simplified version of the play, which you can make notes of as we go. Okay, so just listen carefully and follow along as best as you can. It can get a little bit confusing, and you can go back over this as many times as you need until you are comfortable and confident with the plot as best as it can be at this point. Okay, you will be quizzed on the plot of the play next lesson, so just make sure if you need to make notes, and please do, and just save any questions you have until later on in the lesson. Okay then, here we go, listening carefully. So A Comedy of Errors, we have 2 sets of twins. We have got 2 Antiphaluses, who are princes, and we have 2 Dromios, who are servants. And both sets of twins live together in a town called Syracuse. All 4 of them together then go on a voyage at sea, where there is a massive storm. So there is a storm at sea which capsizes the ship and separates the twin brothers. So we've now got Antipholus of Syracuse and Dromio of Syracuse, and Antipholus of Ephesus and Dromio of Ephesus. And this will be explained more in just a second. So we have Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse, who return home to Syracuse after the shipwreck. And then the Antipholus and Dromio that were lost in the storm find the town of Ephesus and now live there. Hence why they are called Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse and Antipholus and Dromio of Ephesus. So 25 years pass since the storm, and then the play begins. Okay, so that was a bit of backstory. So the play begins 25 years later. Now, Antipholus of Syracuse and Dromio of Syracuse arrive to Ephesus after searching for their brothers for many years. So they are now in the same town that their twin brothers have been living in for 25 years. Now, Antipholus of Ephesus and Dromio of Ephesus do not know that their twin brothers have just arrived. And Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse do not know that their twin brothers live in Ephesus. Whilst in the city of Ephesus, Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse meet many people who live on the land. These people all know Antipholus and Dromio of Ephesus and assume that they are them, okay, including Antipholus of Ephesus's wife, Adriana. So there's lots of confusion going on in the land of Ephesus because they are confusing the wrong twins. The plot thickens when a gold chain is ordered by Antipholus of Ephesus, but it is given to the wrong twin. It is given to Antipholus of Syracuse. So Antipholus of Ephesus refuses to pay for this chain, obviously, since he never received it. His twin brother did, unknowingly, so he is arrested for debt. During this time, Antipholus of Syracuse, who has the gold chain, and his slave decide to flee the city because they believe it's enchanted, because everybody's been acting really strange and obviously confusing them for their twins without them knowing. But they are stopped by Adriana and the debt officer. Okay, so both sets of twins are then find themselves in a prison where they are reunited and the situation is finally resolved because they have recognized that their twins have been on the town of Ephesus for all of this time. And that is the end of the story. As I mentioned earlier on, you are free to pause the video here if you need to and go back over the plot should you need. Okay, so if you need to make some extra notes or get your head around the plot, I know it's quite complicated, then you can take some time to do that now. If you are ready and raring to go for the next task, then I'd like you on your piece of paper to write down what you think these two words mean: emphasis and punctuation. These are our keywords for today. So pause the video here, give yourself about 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes, to write down what you think punctuation and emphasis mean. Off you go. Okay, excellent. I'm hoping that you managed to have something fairly similar on your piece of paper to what I'm about to show you now. And we're going to start with emphasis. Okay, so emphasis is when we stress a particular word or words in a line to create meaning for an audience. So we don't say every word exactly the same. Okay, the reason we use emphasis is because we want to stress certain things to our listeners. Punctuation. So punctuation is used to show actors where to pause, where to place emphasis, and how to express the ideas and emotions of their characters. Okay, so the two go hand in hand, hence why we're looking at them both today. So I want you to have a little look at this monologue here, and I want you to see how many times or how many different ways you can say this mini monologue. So I want you to pause the video here. Okay, that is your script. I want you to consider how you can change its meaning by emphasizing different words within the sentences. I would like you to spend no more than 4 minutes on this. Just see how many different ways you can express this monologue, okay? You know, you could go down a route of anger. I don't care what you say, I'm not going. So I'm emphasizing care and going in that sentence. I could say it timidly. I don't care what you say. I'm not going. Yeah. So think about how many different ways that you can say this mini monologue. So just practice doing it out loud at home. Okay, no more than 4 minutes. Pause the video here and see how many times you can do it. Off you go. Okay then, so we're going to go back to the play text of A Comedy of Errors now. And you will see in your new booklet that there are two extracts from the play. So there is one that is a scene with Antipholus of Syracuse, the first merchant, etc. And then the next one is some monologues from Adriana. And we're going to focus on the first scene. Okay, so that is on pages 5 and 6 of your booklet. You will notice in the script that there are some little numbers next to the words on the text, and those numbers represent an appendices, which is on page 7. So it gives you a bit of extra information that you may need if you are struggling to understand what is happening. All right, so that's just some extra information that you can go through. What I'd like you to do then is you're going to read through thoroughly pages 5 and 6. You're going to read through that scene, okay? And then the appendices on page 7. Once you've done that once through, you're going to do it again, but you can scan read it the second time. It's just to familiarise yourself with the text. Okay, so if you pause the video here and give that a go, and then come back to me when you're done. Okay, so we're going to explore the text a little bit now using a game that we're going to focus on emphasis, which is one of our keywords for today. We're going to use emphasis to explore the text. All right, now the game goes like this. You are going to find the line in the script that relates to the statement that I give you about the scene. There are going to be 5 statements I'm about to give you, which are technically the new English version of what has been written in the script. All will become clear when we start, okay? So here is your first one. So the English or the new English of it would be wait at the inn for me. So there is a line in your script that means exactly the same thing that I have just said. I want you to find that line. Pause the video here and see if you can find it. That's great. So I'm going to give you 4 other lines here that I would like you to find the Shakespearean version for me within your scripts. Okay, pause the video here and time yourself. You're going to have 2 minutes to find all 5. Let's see if you can do it. Ready? Off you go. Pause the video now. Okay, so hopefully you managed to find all of them. Let's see if you were right. Here we go. Here are all 5 statements. If you pause the video here, match them up, see if you managed to get them correct. Okay then, so using these 5 Shakespearean lines that we've just identified from the previous task, what I'd like you to do is, if you haven't got them printed out in front of you, I would like you just to quickly write out those 5 Shakespearean lines, if you can, on your piece of paper. So just pause the video now, go back to the previous slide, and write out those 5 Shakespearean lines for me. Once you have done that, I would like you to underline in pencil words that you think need to be emphasized within the sentence. Okay, so remember the point of emphasis and think about the meaning you think the character is trying to create by saying these lines. So you're going to underline no more than sort of 2 or 3 words per sentence. Okay, you're going to spend no more than about 3 minutes on this. So pause the video here with 3 minutes and come back to me when you're done. What I'd like you to do now then, just to finish this task off, is I'd like you to practice saying these lines aloud. Okay, so for example, I may have written down, Sir, I commend you to your own content. I have underlined Sir and commend. So I may explore saying these aloud by doing something like this. Sir, I commend you to your own content. Yeah, or I may say it slightly differently. Sir, I commend you to your own content. Yeah, so just see how you might say them aloud now that you've emphasized those particular words. Okay, I want you to do that for all 5, please. So just practice saying them out loud, then come back to me when you're done. Okay, if you have time towards the end of this lesson to do this, then I'd like you to give it a go. If you're running short on time, then I would like you just to skip the slide and go straight to the plenary. Okay, but if you have time, I'd like you to do this, please. So this is a punctuation game. So we're going to have a little look at punctuation now. So we've done emphasis and we're going to move on to punctuation. Now you're going to use the Antipholus of Syracuse's monologue at the bottom of page 6. Okay, so it's only that short paragraph that you're going to use. Okay, now the rule for this game is this. For every type of punctuation used, there must be a sound connected to it. So for example, for every full stop that you see, you must stamp your foot when you do that or when it happens. Okay. So step 1 of the game is this. You need to identify the 3 types of punctuation used in the script in that short paragraph. And I would like you to create a sound for each. I want you to pause the video here, have a little read of the paragraph on the bottom of page 6, and come up with your 3 sound effects for each type of punctuation. All right, then once you've done that, I would like you to read through the text, and when you get to a moment where punctuation is used, then you must make the sound you created for it. So for example, you might use a click for a comma, a slap of the thigh for a colon or a semicolon, and a stamp of the foot for a full stop. Okay, all 3 forms of punctuation were in that small phrase. Okay, so I'd like you to read it through aloud and actually do the sound effects when you see the punctuation being used. Okay, so that's all I'd like you to do. Pause the video here, give it a go, and then come back to me when you're done. Finally, then, if you have a bit of time, extra challenge wise, I want you to, once you've got comfortable with doing the sound effects of reading the text, you're going to do it again, but this time you're going to imagine the clicks, the slaps, and the stamps. You're not actually going to make the sound. Okay, and I want you to see how it may change the way that you say the line. Give that one a go and come back to me when you're done. To finish off this lesson then please, I would like you on your piece of paper to answer the question below, which is what is the importance of using punctuation for an actor? Okay, I want you to answer that question for me, please. Spend no more than 2 minutes on that. Okay, then once you've answered the question, I would like you just to reread the script once more, okay, and write down any questions that you may have about the script that you would like to ask me next lesson. Okay, so any questions at all, whether it's you don't understand part of it, whether it's you don't understand what a particular word means, anything like that at all, I would like you just to write your questions that you may have about the plot or about the script that you have read. Okay, that's what I'd like you to do. Once you have done that, then you are free to go on to your next lesson. Very well done. Speak to you soon.